is here. The check is in the mail.
Like BedBugs, you could get us to rest, but you'll never get us to retire. We've been relaxing for a little while, but we're back. It's the Gig Podcast. I'm sitting across from Frost Walker. Frost. And I'm a guy with a dislocated and relocated finger because I'm just that tough on the job site.
That's how it is. You got to suck it up here and do
that.
If I have
to catch a shop vac from 2 stories, dislocate my pointer finger, and then put it back in right on the spot, then I'll do it if I got to build a set of steps that day.
As long as you bend at the knee, you'll be fine.
Victor Coco is a good man, and if I had my soundboard, I'd let him know that.
We'd all know that. Forgot to charge it. That's why that red wire's over there.
No, it's charged.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't turn it on, but that's all right. It'll be here soon. Victor, what's happening?
Before we go crazy, just turn the volume up, turn it back down on the iPad. Let's just make sure.
We're good.
Beautiful.
We're golden on the sound. That's all.
It's been weeks. Here's what happened. Make sure everything comes together.
Here's what happened with those past couple episodes where the sound was slowed down. The equipment's tired.
Yeah.
It needed a rest. It needed a rest. Now it's recharged. It's ready to work back up to speed. We have a full roster today because we've been away from the mic for a month, and I'm wound up like a 5th grader sniffing fun dip,
Let's
Daddy.
Go. Plus, I give you that frozen cappuccino.
Oh, yeah, I'm jazzed. That's my...
I snuck the extra shot in there.
Did you?
No.
That
but
may
I did the
be...
extra caramel for you.
Yeah. I appreciate you putting whipped cream and caramel drizzled on my coffee. So in case anybody thought that I was a real man...
Well, I mean, you already ordered the frozen caramel cappuccino, so putting the extra caramel on there shouldn't be all that big of a deal. It was just a choice.
Yeah,
they didn't let me go with the cold foam. It was only whipped cream was the only option.
I know, because you better get it right. I would put cold foam on a cappuccino and then drink it in my truck behind the tinted windows so nobody knows.
I asked him to give me a cup of the cold foam so I could swap it out for you, and he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's whack.
Do you ever see them make your drink with the cold foam?
Yeah.
At the Wawa?
It pours on mad slow. It always seems like they're pouring
like
the last
Yeah.
the last of the cold foam. What's up with that?
He's like shaking it, and all of a sudden he started squeezing it like a toothpaste tube, and a little bit came out.
Every time they do it.
I'm like, well, why don't you put it in the the carbon ejector that the whipped cream has? He's like, I think you might have just changed the game. Yeah. And then I left, and they were screwing stuff apart.
Right. Well, here's the thing. If you're looking at Payday in the corner and you're thinking to yourself, he looks a lot smaller in that corner than usual.
I shrunk the window.
No, the window is the same size. He's down to a size 36. So 3 years of us berating Payday about his eating habits and his fitness have finally sunk in.
Slowly but surely.
And he's getting himself into gear.
I think that's, 8 sizes since we started. I think I was at 44 when we started.
Well, you walked in and I said, something's going on here, and I'm not sure what it is. I thought maybe your beard was thinner. But it's just your face thinner behind the beard.
Yeah, it's the whole pack. Like I said, the last couple weeks have been, for whatever reason, just mentally and emotionally brutal.
Yeah.
And like the last 24 to 48 hours, like I've gotten it into my head that it's all cleared up.
Yeah.
And it just feels all cleared up. Like I was putting myself through some serious nonsense and there was no reason for it. And it finally, like, you ever have like an invasive thought in your brain
Sure.
that you know is stupid,
yeah,
but you can't shake that it's
sometimes
true?
When you're holding your 6-month-old baby, you're holding him, you go, what would happen if I dropped him out this window?
So
That kind of thing.
What if I just hold my hand over the face and then they stop crying?
What if I just flicked him in his nuts really hard?
But like, then imagine like that sort of thought just sticks with you every time you see the baby for like 2 weeks, and you're like, why is any of this even happening? Until you finally get to the end of it, and you're like, you know what? We're good.
It would probably be time to seek a little bit of professional help at that point.
I was on the cusp.
If you're continuing to want to self-circumcise your children, or,
it was
castrate your babies.
It was not anybody's mutilation. It was just. I mean, we can go into it, but you have a whole roster first.
I got a roster.
We can come back around.
We might be here late tonight.
All right.
We might not be. I don't know. We'll see.
Get the battery all charged up.
So, when we last left our protagonists,
Meanwhile, before the hiatus,
as we left our protagonists, they were well on their way to a vacation south of the border.
Yeah.
Which is
both of us.
Yeah, and we've discussed it ad nauseum that the greatest vacation destination in America is, of course, Tybee Island, Georgia.
Oh, Tybee Island. Okay.
So I've changed my mind.
Okay.
Savannah is great.
You're right.
Love Savannah.
Right.
But Tybee Island, outside of Savannah, is way better because then you go visit Savannah.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Like, you spend a day in Savannah, but then you get back over to Tybee Island.
Now, the section of Tybee Island where we rented the house was very Key West.
Okay.
As we're walking through, first off, it was a heat index of like 104 degrees every day. We took our 17-hour journey, or however freaking long it took us to drive down there, because we had to keep stopping because we got a baby who breastfeeds and a 7-year-old and a me. And I like to drink a lot of coffee a lot of cold coffees on my way down there.
Sure.
So there's a lot of peeing.
Oh,
there was a lot of, we left at like 1 a.m, so there was a lot of, before the sun came up, there was a lot of falling asleep as I'm driving. It was a rough ride.
Quick doze off and then look around at everyone else, see if they noticed.
We're good.
What?
You can, no, that's fine. Go to sleep, babe. I'm good. I got
this for a couple more hours. You rest up.
Yeah. As long as you shut up. If whatever it takes to just get you out of my ear.
I had the same road trip you had. That's weird.
So we get down there to this section on the north end of Tybee Island, which at one point, here's the history lesson. At one point, I think it was called Fort Screven or Fort Skirvin or Fort something. North Tybee Island is Fort something, and then there's another fort right outside of Tybee Island. So the two of them both have a name. I can't remember what it was. But, so it's kind of set up very similar to, it was once an army base that then got sectioned off and sold to the public. So there's a lot of walking paths through it. It's a very like, hey, get a golf cart for your travels through here kind of place. Everybody's driving golf carts.
Okay.
We hop out when we get there in this park that looks like it should be the setting of a romantic murder mystery softback book that you get out of ShopRite's aisle as you're buying your groceries. Like, it was it's so different that it feels kind of fake.
Unreal. Yeah.
It's very swampy.
Mm-hmm.
Palm trees everywhere. And then you get out. We drive in, we get out, and the sound of the cicadas is like overwhelming, dude.
Yeah.
You hear nothing but cicada.
Yeah, and it's like, it sounds like just like this swooshing noise, like almost like the whole earth is on a sonogram, like you're listening for.
Yeah, it's just a nonstop, continuous, chirping. But yeah, so and the house was right on the beach. I was killing it as far as skimboarding is concerned. Now that I upgraded to a fiberglass skimboard,
finally, you don't have to
however,
do that wood nonsense anymore.
Here's the problem, though. I failed to take into account the amount of damage that running on packed wet sand will do to the bones in your feet. So I spent 8 hours total over the first 2 days skimboarding.
Okay.
Like, just not ignoring the family. I'm catching skim, dude.
Right.
I'm trying to glide. And I'm doing great. I'm killing it. And then the third day I wake up and I go to hop out of bed and collapse because my feet were in such pain from the bones banging together that I was not prepared to deal with that kind of pain first thing in the morning, stepping onto the floor.
Right.
I crumbled myself. So then I didn't get the skimboard for the rest of the vacation.
But the knees were good?
Knees were fine. It was my feet.
Just the feet?
Just the feet. They were terrible. I'm used to dealing with murked knees.
I figured.
Dirt bike riding, floor installations.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, yeah, so I didn't get to do much skimboarding after that. But it's tremendous. We were down there all week. I could have stayed another week. I'll tell you this, dude. The concept of the Georgia peach.
Okay.
Not the fruit.
Right.
The Georgia peach.
Yeah, sure.
Is like I kind of thought, like, I just say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a reality.
It is.
It's a reality to the point where Georgia peaches are so prevalent and what would you say is a word for a really...
It's ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous. They're ubiquitous. They're also... I'm trying to think of a real peach and a good, like a plump, juicy, ripe...
Go on.
Peach.
Okay.
I don't know. I need a better word, but I don't have one. But the peaches are so prevalent
Right.
that everywhere in Georgia actually has wider toilet paper. This is a hand to God, dude. I noticed throughout my journey in Georgia, like, why is their toilet paper so wide? And at the end of it all, I kind of clicked, like, oh, it's all these big booty white girls down here.
So in your
big booty sisters too. I mean, there's a variety for sure. The booties are big though. The peaches are voluptuous.
In your analysis, the gluteus maximus, as they call it, as that gets more shapely, the crack spreads too.
No, but you have to get.
You gotta get further.
You gotta get further in the crack, so you need wider toilet paper to cover your hand for hygienic purposes.
Speaking of toilet paper, real quick.
Yep.
Fold or crumple?
Fold.
Okay.
Every time.
I've never heard fold.
I also I went to a little coffee shop.
Okay.
Looking for a treat, right? One morning. And I get there and I'm like, hey, they got the whole list of what's available. And it says nitro cold brew.
Yeah.
And I was on a particularly...
That's the hip thing now.
I was on a particularly strong cold brew kick that week.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
So I say, hey, lady, what's up with nitro? Like, what's the difference between nitro and regular cold brew?
Right.
And she's like, well, to be honest with you, I don't think there's any difference. I said, okay, so why would I want to buy nitro then? She's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, okay, appreciate it. I'm glad that you're really selling me on nitro. I'll take one.
There you go.
Give me a nitro coffee. Let me see what this is about. So I got to Google it, right? What's the difference between nitro coffee and regular coffee?
It's just that
it's a creamier mouthfeel.
Well, because it's getting aerated. So
yeah.
You ever have a Guinness out of a can?
Yeah, no, I understand the concept of what's going on.
All right, I thought we were walking through it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. You're right. I haven't done this for a while. They hit it with the nitrogen. Yeah, it
aerates.
Aerates it.
Yeah, but
however,
it doesn't make it like it's not carbonated.
No,
it's just fluffier.
Yeah, no, it doesn't do a damn thing, is what it does.
Not by the time they serve it to you, no. Because it's during when they tell you that they're doing it, it's during the brewing process.
Right.
So then it's already been sitting again and settled back down, and now they're just serving you cold coffee.
So you jerks are paying an extra $2 for something that is non-existent.
Not even a little bit.
The world today, my friend.
Amen.
So I tried nitro, and it's a bunch of malarkey. So if you're watching this right now because you searched nitro brew coffee and we popped up in the algorithm,
as we should,
we want to let you know that don't waste your time. Keep it regular cold brew, maybe a little cold foam on top. You want to go frozen, do your thing. But nitro, it's not for you.
Only exception would be if you get your nitro cold brew in a can and it's got the widget in there like the Guinness. Right. Other than that, if they're pouring it for you, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, stay away from the nitro brew. So the Georgia peaches were prevalent, very much so.
Right.
But I'm a married man, so all I do is notice that they're there and then carry on.
So that you can walk the proper way on the path.
So I can stay far away.
Yeah.
Because
that's Yeah.
I look out for hot chicks
Right.
so that I could walk in
turn
the other
around.
direction. Yeah. God forbid, I wouldn't want to walk near them.
I'm going to the right.
I wouldn't want to breathe in their aura. That would be horrible.
It's not fair to them.
Right. You're correct. So Georgia has the peaches, but let me tell you this, dude. The land of milk and honeys is actually Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston, South Carolina is something else.
My man, we decided, we're down here in Georgia. When's the next time we're going to get down here in this part of the country, which, as it turns out, is actually not that far away.
Well, you'll just be passing through. You won't.
Yeah. So I'm never going to, it's going to be a while before I can get to Charleston again. On our way home, let's go to Charleston. We'll spend a couple hours. We'll see what it's about down there.
Right.
So we go to Charleston. We have breakfast that was phenomenal. We walk over to their little touristy section, the city market, and they were everywhere.
Yeah.
9s and 10s everywhere, dude. It was I've never seen a place like this.
It's crazy.
I don't even think New York, and New York is known for babes, like in the summertime.
Yeah.
I don't even think New York touches Charleston.
From a percentage perspective, no. Like there's probably better looking women in New York, but you got to span through a whole lot more women to get to them than you do in South Carolina.
Right. There's a lot less people and a lot more babes.
A lot higher average, yeah.
You see the same number of babes in Charleston and New York, except the total population in Charleston is way less.
Filler, yeah.
But let me tell Charleston, have you ever been to Charleston?
Yes,
I guess so. You're saying that you've noticed.
Yeah.
It was maybe because I've been to Savannah twice now.
Right.
But Charleston, the architecture and the setup of the city grabbed me even more so than Savannah did. Maybe not the first time this is my second time in Savannah, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Okay.
But Charleston was pretty amazing in that downtown section, right?
Yeah.
First off, we're walking by through this super ritzy neighborhood. You could tell because it's like Bentley parked in the driveway, Range Rover, G-Wagon. Like, we're like, these houses cost a little bit of bread.
They're doing good down here.
But you'd be walking down the street and just come to an opening and you peek through it, and it's this ornate, elaborate courtyard with a balcony, a wraparound balcony, and that's like where you walk into the house. Like, it's very, like me and you, very European.
Yeah.
You know? And I was very intrigued by it, and I thought to myself, I'll never be rich enough to buy one of these houses, but I sure would like to be.
Well, don't count yourself out.
But I'm not so, but maybe I could still go back to the old me and break into one of these houses. Spend a little time in one.
Sure, there's certainly always that. Don't rule yourself out because you're underestimating the swing in taxes and whatnot and how much those places really cost in comparison to like places around here. They're not cheap places. I'm not suggesting that, but they may not be as far out of reach as you think they are because of where they're located.
Might not be $1 million home.
Might not be. Might be a $750,000, which is a little more reasonable.
I think maybe I could get to a $750,000 home.
Columbia and Charleston have this thing, and I don't really know how to explain it, but like, it's like they kept the shape of the old architecture, but they cleaned everything up and made it look brand new.
Yeah.
Like, you have these like big plantation looking homes, but they also look like they were just built yesterday.
Right.
And everything is super clean and super beautiful, but you still feel like it's the 1800s.
Yeah.
And I've never been anywhere else that pulled off that. You know, like Atlanta and Savannah, they have that old architectural feel, but they feel like they've been there for 200 years.
Yeah.
Charleston and Columbia feel like we took the script of what it's supposed to look like and then put all new materials over it all.
Right.
And it looks gorgeous.
Right. Well, there was an interesting feeling that I haven't really felt in any other spot when I was in Charleston.
Okay.
Right? We went to City Market.
Okay.
Now, City Market is just like a little flea market.
Yeah.
But it's 3 city blocks long in they're kind of like long barns. You know, like they're they're kind of open to the outside. There's no AC. They have fans every 6 feet. I've never seen so many ceiling fans in one place. I was kind of awestruck by the fact that every 6 feet was a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
But when you're in Charleston in August, you understand why there's a fan every 6 feet. So the history of City Market is now they're selling trinkets, but 200 years ago, they were selling people.
Yeah.
Charleston was like the hub to come in with your boat full of slaves and off them.
Yeah.
So I'm standing in the City Market, which is kept historically accurate, right? Like they kept the structure all kind of the same. They added electric and some bathrooms, but it's probably very much what it was in 1823.
Yeah.
And people are walking around on a Sunday morning buying little Triscuits and Trascuits and bric-a-brac and knickknacks and all that. And there's beautiful girls walking by, and there's families, and there's lemonade. And I'm standing there like, this is like, we're, as America right now, we're like eliminating things named after General Lee.
Right.
Which I'm indifferent about either way.
Okay.
You know, if you want to name something, if you're a town in the South and you want to represent the South because it's been that way for 100 years and you don't want to change what has been, whatever. I don't care. If you're mad at people for having something named after General Lee, go ahead. Waste your anger on something like that and fight to change it. I don't care about that either. But I think of like, we're putting efforts into that, renaming things, but we're still standing in a slave market right now. And like, this is okay. And it wasn't not okay because there wasn't anything malicious happening.
Right.
But there's a very odd feeling when you stand in something like that, like a slave market or an old plantation, and think like, oh, this is all fine and dandy right now, but this was an atrocity here. You know?
No, you're right, and I know you don't want to go too far into this, and I respect that. But like, see that feeling that you have is why they want to change the name of these things, because the atrocity happened, and no one's going to argue that it wasn't.
Right.
And it's no longer happening. And the building still exists, and no one, I'm assuming, that's a proprietor of the building is engaging in any of these atrocities.
Of course not.
So there is room to say it was vile shit that happened here that does not happen here anymore, and we can keep this building and move forward.
Right.
But you don't really want to name it, like, oh, let's go to the building where they buy and sell people today and hang out. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's all like, you didn't feel that way when you were in New Orleans or anything? Like, looking around at the buildings, like, man, the stuff that was happening in these buildings was just out of pocket. No, and now there's people doing a drum line for a funeral.
Right. Well, in New Orleans, I definitely felt more tied to like the more positive sides of history in New Orleans was like what I was kind of drawn to, and like, the history of music here and the history of this architecture and the ghost stories and stuff like that.
It didn't come up in your mind because you weren't in a place that was specifically This is where they used to buy and sell people.
Right.
Okay.
There was, and we've discussed it before on the time that they tried to kill me in New Orleans, the neighborhood of, not Treme, something water. Damn, I can't, Bywater. Marini and Bywater neighborhood did have a very eerie feeling when the sun went down.
Okay.
But that was really the only oddness that I felt down there. And even in Savannah, the same thing. There's a history of slavery and oppression and all that in Savannah, but I didn't really. It was just at the City Market where it's not that I think that it should be changed.
No. It's just
like,
it hits,
this is
it
weird.
Hits more
it's
there.
very odd.
Well, yeah, I agree, because
it's an odd feeling.
When I was in Savannah and I went to that cemetery that I told you about, it's like just, hundreds of thousands of tombstones. Some of those were people who were, bought and sold and killed. And it doesn't strike you that way when you're looking at the cemetery. But some of the houses you drove past and some of the plantations, you're like, well, there were some, really violent and vile
smugly
shit
stuff
happening.
going on. Yeah. Savannah is one of 2 necropolises in America.
Oh, there you go.
Where they built on top of dead bodies.
Right.
Same thing. The other one is somewhere out in Arizona, I think, or New Mexico. So vacation overall, we took an extra 2 days because we were having such a good time, and they offered me a discount on an extra
To hang out.
couple day rental so they could fill up a week.
All right.
And then we stopped in Charleston, and that was nice. So vacation was tremendous. On the way home, I stopped at probably the worst establishment ever created and pushed upon the American public, which is Buc-ee's.
Oh.
I was told by not only you,
boy.
I was recommended by a few people like, yo, you gotta see Buc-ee's. And I've heard people say it outside of not even talking to me, talking to each other in different places, whether it be on a podcast or at a family gathering or in the library when I'm there.
Right.
People say to each other, oh, you never been to Buc-ee's? You gotta see Buc-ee's. It is an American institution. It's so Texas. It's this, it's that. All just heaps of praise showered upon the establishment of Buc-ee's. So I thought, we're on our way home. We're going to pass by it. We're going to need gas. We're going to need snacks. Let's stop at the Buc-ee's in South Carolina.
Right.
We pull up. First off, I am a guy who knows how to navigate the world. You could put me in most any situation, and I can figure out the things that need to be done in that situation.
Right.
I couldn't figure out how to get my gas pumped at Buc-ee's.
What? That wasn't that hard?
It wasn't letting me use my card, and
okay.
I'm not lying to you. There's like 70 pumps at Buc-ee's.
Easily.
Literally. Maybe 100. I don't know. Many, many pumps. More pumps than I've ever seen in one place. I'm like, Jesus. All right, let me go in there and see if I can pay cash. I'll grab something to eat. I'll go in. I'll use the bathroom.
Right.
The kids and the wife are going to stay in the car because the baby's sleeping. And then I'll come out and watch the baby, and they'll go in. So I walk a few steps into Buc-ee's, and I'm greeted with a wall of the dregs of society. The most disgusting people up and down the East Coast. Just the trashiest of white, the poorest of browns, the wildest of blacks. The bottom tiers of society were all here in a sea of people that I feel comfortable amongst. But it was so many people, I took 3 steps in and said, nope, I am not fighting through these people to get myself a lemonade. I will go to the TA truck stop like the rest of the American people. It's like they emptied out all of Texas's lower class. They took Texas, shook it on its side into South Carolina Buc-ee's, and they all landed there.
What time roughly were you there?
I would say it was afternoon on a Sunday.
Okay, so I'm just going to go out and make some speculative guesses here.
Please do.
In the afternoon on a Sunday is going to be a major heavy travel period of time.
Of course.
And a place like Buc-ee's obviously is attracting all the travelers.
Yeah.
So perhaps at that window of time, it's so overloaded with people that it's not a good experience. I was there 2 different times.
Yeah.
Once at like 2 a.m. and once at like 8 p.m. on different days.
Right.
And both of those times, the place was heaven. It was heaven. From how clean the bathrooms were, to how many pumps were there, which meant all the pumps were available.
Right.
To just the idea that like the parking lot was full.
Yeah.
But the place was so big that I never ran into anybody else. I had to hunt to find my own family, let alone run into other people in the crowd. They were making their own jerky there. There was a whole other separate section that was making sandwiches.
Yep.
There was a pit in the middle that had barbecue.
Yeah.
Then there was all the nonsense around the outsides that you could purchase. The place was amazing inside and out. So the only thing I can think of is either like there was a big church group that was there when you got there.
Oh, this was more than this. It was so many people. It was unreal. It was the Wildwood Boardwalk on Memorial Day times 3.
Right. And yeah, in Wildwood, not in Ocean City. That was that's the distinction.
Yeah.
So I have to assume,
maybe even Asbury Park.
I have to assume it's just because of the glut of travelers at that period of time.
Yeah.
I can't chalk it up to anything else based on my experience and based on, like you said, I've never heard anyone else ever
speak ill of Buc-ee's.
I've heard them say, it's not that big of a deal, but I've never heard anyone say that was terrible. I would never go back.
Well, the amount of people that were there the day that I was, there is no way that they were the cleanest bathrooms you ever seen that day. There's no way they could have kept up with the flow of turds.
Did you check?
No.
I think they employ one person per stall, and they just stand out front with a mop and wait for each person to come out.
Hurry up, and chase you out with a mop.
You got 4.5 minutes. Get it done.
Yeah. So when I got home, for the next 2 weeks when I get home, I'm eating whatever I want, having shrimp and grits for breakfast, and I'm down there living the dream in the Georgia, South Carolina area.
Right.
And when I got home for the next 2 weeks, I had the rawest flatulence that I may have ever had. And it took me a couple of days to because I'm farting and I'm smelling it. I'm like, this is terrible. I can't even comfortably fart in my own home for fear that I'm going to injure my wife or children with this type of flatulence, right?
Okay.
So I ponder on it for a day or two, and the thing that I can come up with is that since I was there for a week and some change, my body had soaked in all the swamp gas of the deep Georgia swamps, and was, now that I was back in the Northeast, finding its way to expel those gases from my system.
So I'm not saying you're wrong, but in theory, like, why hasn't your body soaked in all like the Camden and Philadelphia scents and pumped those back out? Why is it just the backwaters of it
oh well,
Georgia?
It does, but I'm used to that.
It's the familiar scent.
Yeah, I'm accustomed. My body has had 37 years to regulate itself from the stench of Camden.
I gotcha.
So I'm okay. There's two kinds of guys on a job site.
Okay.
There's the guys who clearly mark their tools with their names or their initials.
Okay.
And then there's the guys who are trying to catch a tool thief. The guys who will do something like this. They're like, AIDS is in the building. Where's the button? I didn't even pull up the soundboard, man.
Your volume's up for me, so I don't know what you got going on over there.
No, I just don't have the soundboard up.
You've had 7 weeks to get it ready.
I know. I turned it on a couple of minutes ago, and then I didn't get it. Aid.
He's a good man, actually.
Oh, gotta turn that up.
You gotta turn it up on you.
One more time. Oh, okay. One more time for Aid.
Let's do it.
He's a good man, actually.
Come on,
You're still
man.
low?
I'm all the way up. One
You're
for
up on me.
Aid.
He's a good man, actually.
There
One
we go.
for Victor.
He's a good man, actually.
We got them all.
And one for whoever
He's
the
a good
third
man,
guy
actually.
in the chat is.
Welcome.
There's the guys who clearly mark it,
Right.
and the guys who are trying to
They're trying
catch
to
a
set
tool
you up.
thief. Yeah. Those are the guys who are like, I think that's my square.
Okay.
And you're like, this is not your square. This is my square. I know this is my square.
Right.
They're like, nah, dude. I put two scratches next to the number 2 on it.
The 6 1/4 inch line is miffed out, so that's how I know it's
I
mine.
put a heart-shaped scratch underneath the battery on my drill. So take the battery off. Let's see.
We'll prove it.
They're trying to set you up.
Why? Like, what do they accomplish by catching you?
Well, they find out that you stole. They find out you're a piece of trash.
Okay, but isn't
By stealing their
is
tools.
the assumption on a construction site that that's like a 50-50 shot either way?
No, the job sites that I am usually on,
Right.
the assumption is that you are a gentleman,
Okay.
and my tools haven't been marked for 5 years,
Right.
mostly because I'm the boss.
Well, right. I was going to say you're also the boss, so it carries an extra level of weight.
Right.
If 2 guys on the same level steal from each other, it's not the same as stealing.
They could
from the
deal
boss.
with it.
Right.
But now I find myself needing to mark my tools because BTC is not necessarily the most. It's not. He plays a role like he's just forgetful.
Okay.
But I think he knows what he's doing, dude. I think he's trying to acquire my whole tool set by accident. So I started putting notches underneath of my batteries.
Secret heart-shaped scratches on your batteries.
Yeah. There was so I may have told you this story, maybe not. When I was installing floors for Dino Mike,
Okay.
we had a gentleman named Ernst. I don't know if Ernst was his first name or his last name.
Or a contraction of both.
Maybe it was short for Ernie Steltensteimer or something. I don't know. But Ernst was a real character. Ernst was the kind of guy who would show up a half hour late.
Right.
And when the boss goes, Ernst, what the hell, dude? He would go, look, I know I'm late, but there was I'm driving down the street, and this lady, I saw her walking, and she fell into a manhole cover.
Oh, that's the worst.
So I hopped out to go run over there.
Yeah.
It turns out the manhole cover was actually a pit of snakes.
Oh.
So I called the cops, and when they showed up, they asked me if I could help rescue her, so I had to
Right.
go down and rescue her. So I know I'm a half hour late, but I was
for
just
good
helping
reason.
with the law.
Once I get the police report, I'll show you what was happening.
He was that kind of guy. So one day, we're doing a floor on a back porch. I remember it was a back porch. I would assume we're probably doing sheet vinyl because that's what we did a whole bunch of at that point.
Okay.
It's a dead art. So if you need a sheet vinyl guy, I'm going to charge you through the roof because there's not guys who do sheet vinyl anymore. I'm the last of the guys who knows how to do sheet vinyl.
What has replaced sheet vinyl?
Vinyl plank.
Okay.
Everybody just goes vinyl plank.
Okay.
There's really no reason to do sheet vinyl at this point.
Okay.
You can get vinyl plank for cheap enough. It's more durable. It's easier and cleaner to install. Sheet vinyl is...
So was sheet vinyl more like laminate?
No, sheet vinyl is linoleum.
Okay.
Big sheet of linoleum
You're
that you
just
roll
rolling it
out
out.
and cut
Okay.
it into shape of the room.
And now it's like the fake 2x4s that they use?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the laminate.
Okay.
But nobody knows how to do,
Right.
it's a dying breed is guys who can cut vinyl sheet.
Right.
I'm that guy. So if you have sheet vinyl that you want done, I'll do it for you. But just know I'm charging you through the roof.
And you should.
Yeah. So we're working on probably sheet vinyl on a back porch, and I'm looking everywhere for my broom because you have to get a nice sweep on the floor before you put sheet vinyl down. You got to sweep it real good on your hands and knees, get every speck of dust.
Yeah, because of the adhesive, right?
Yeah. I'm looking everywhere for my little dust brush. It's not in the truck. It's not in my tool bag. It's not in the house. I'm like, yo, Ernst, is that my brush? He's like, nah, man, this is my brush. Look. And he had crudely crossed out Cove, which was written in marker. He crossed it out and wrote Ernst in pencil next to it. I'm like, yo, are you kidding me, dude? But it was such
He claimed it. What are you going to do?
it was such a blatant and dumb attempt at stealing it. My anger subsided very quickly because I realized I'm not dealing with a guy who's got a full medicine cabinet. Because whatever was
that's
in
a
the
solid
medicine
move.
cabinet, he ate half of it.
No, remember you gave this to me a couple weeks ago. That's when I scratched your name out and put my name on it. This is mine.
And one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me. You feel like arguing now or later?
Hey, this is your show. You make the call. I'm fired up one way or the other.
I think we often, me and you, like to argue on the topic of the concept of the alpha male.
Sure.
You stand firmly by the belief that the alpha male is a figment of society's imagination. It's fraudulent.
I'm not quite there, but I'm pretty close there. Mostly I've been thinking about it a lot lately since we don't talk as much anymore. The alpha male as the person being preached to you from podcasts and books and things like that. That's just a super insecure guy trying to cover his insecurities. I think the idea that there are people who are leaders and are just naturally the person that you follow,
Yeah.
I think that's a thing. I think that situationally there are people who should be in charge and shouldn't be in charge just based on mentality and thought process and things like that. I think and then you got to do this, and then you got to go to the gym 7 days a week, and then you got to tell every woman she's a bitch and she should be on her knees free. That's a whole bunch of insecure bullshit from people who don't know how to navigate the world.
I mean, listen, you do have to go to the gym 7 days a week.
As a reason to exercise and work out, but not like
Secondarily-
you have to be the strong. If you're not the strongest, if you're not putting up twice your body weight, you're not a man. Like,
No,
get the
I don't
fuck
think
outta here.
anybody's saying that.
Yeah, there
and
are.
secondarily, sometimes you have to be a little forthright with these broads.
Sometimes yes,
You
but
know?
also sometimes no. right? Like, again, situationally, some of these women need to be put in their place.
Yeah.
And other women, I respect you, you respect me, we can move forward.
Yeah, but it's
Percentage-wise,
respect is a
it's
pretty loose term here. I just thought of that because a thing popped into my mind as I was listening to something or other.
Okay.
All across the animal kingdom, every species has the concept of the alpha male. And so then I thought, well, why would we be the one species without the idea of one guy being the strongest, the top of the food chain?
Okay.
I'm glad that we agree. So I then went to the gym.
Where you're headed.
I went to the gym, and I'm in the sauna.
Okay.
Because I love a good sweat in the morning.
Of course.
And recently, the sauna dropped down to like 140 degrees.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Changing weather.
Yeah, they usually have it up around 200.
All right.
200 is a good sauna, dude. If you could get it up to perfect sauna would be if it like shoots up to 210 for 3 or 4 minutes and then drops down to like 195 for a couple minutes. Just keep going back and forth.
Flesh.
Yeah, like doing sets, reps, you know what I mean? Reps of sweating.
Right.
Sweat reps.
Yeah.
And they have a TV in the sauna.
Oh, that's weird, but okay.
Well, it's not in the sauna. It's behind a glass
you can
window.
See through the window. Right.
I don't know if you can hear it or not because I always have my headphones in, so I'm not sure. But it always has Sports Center on.
Yeah.
Or Shannon Sharp and who's the guy he fights with?
Well, they used to have the show together with Shannon and Skip.
Yeah. Something like Shannon
Undisputed,
and Skip. Yeah. Pardon the interruption.
Argue with each other about nothing shows.
Yeah. One of those shows is always on. And I kind of notice, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And it's like, it looks like MS-13 on TV, and they keep flicking back and forth to different members of Mexican street gangs.
Okay. So was it a UFC event?
No. And I'm like, what are these Mexican gangbangers doing, right?
Right.
And as time progresses, they start what they're doing, and they are in the PHL Horseshoes World Championship.
Okay.
So apparently, after you retire from MS-13 or the Serenos,
right,
you move on to being a professional horseshoe tosser.
You got to do something with your golden years, you know?
I mean, these guys were fresh out of Pelican Bay because they had the jail tattoos from head to toe, bald heads with jail tats, skinny chin straps. They had on gold chains and Dodger hats. These dudes looked the part. They were having so they're tossing shoes. There was like the old gray Mexican gangster with the long Fu Manchu.
Right.
The gray Fu Manchu mustache, who looks like he probably should have pulled up on like a real beast of a Harley. You know, like a Cholo Harley or something.
Big
with a vest
with
on, yeah.
All the way up.
There was the buff, bald-headed, tats on his head, tats down his neck, gold chain type of Mexican gangbang. But they're all Mexican gangbangers, dude.
Right. Well, maybe that was the league.
The Mexican Gangbanger World Championship? Could be. They had on baseball jerseys with their team name on it.
Okay.
The one team was called Brews and Shoes.
Nice.
The back of their jersey was a 40-ouncer with a horseshoe hanging from it.
That's the brew and the shoe.
Sick logo, bro. The one dude had an iced-out horseshoe on. And I wound up getting caught watching this in the sauna. I took my AirPods out and watched this for an extra 5. Usually I go 15 so minutes in the sauna. I went to 25 that day just to watch
Brews and shoes.
The Sereno Horseshoe League.
All right. And well, so what how does this tie into the alpha male thing?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it's separate things. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you, dude.
It's not an argument. It's a conversation. But again, I don't think that the idea doesn't exist. I just think that the people that are pitching it to you are all horseshit by and large.
I think the idea is the same as everything that you hear.
Okay.
That the extreme viewpoint is the one that you hear the loudest.
Right.
Right? I think that some of the ideas that are being pushed online of what a alpha male should be are very solid and truthful ideas of what young men should do with their life.
Okay.
And then, I mean, I haven't really heard any that I would have to hear something that I disagreed with. But the other thing is that, like, you can't fake your way into being the alpha of a situation.
Well, so
no matter who teaches you what.
So that's where. So I think you're right. I think the extremes are always the loudest, and that's what you then associate with the movement.
Right.
So I think you're right there. But right, so that's the thing. Like their pitch for the extremes is if you just do what I say, you'll become an alpha male.
Right.
And you have to know that at its core is a bullshit idea, because part of being the alpha, as it's defined, is like your mentality and your wiring and your build, and some of that you can't just naturally change.
No, you're not. Alphas I think in any species, human or otherwise, are not created.
Right.
You're born with all the tools in you to become a leader and a stand-up guy and
right.
and be out front of the pack. But I don't think that the ideas that are being pushed or discussed are bad for young men to put into practice. You should be working out.
Yeah.
You should have more respect for yourself than you have for women, because you should respect yourself before everybody.
Right.
Otherwise, you can't really give the proper respect out.
Right. And so that's where the deviation comes in, right? So yeah, you should work out. You should be healthy. You should respect yourself. But that's because those are good ideas for your mental health and good ideas for your life and how you want to live your life.
Yeah.
Not because if you do those things, you'll be able to slay every bitch in the club, right? Like,
yeah, but that's how you motivate 17, 18, 19-year-old dudes.
Understandable.
The biggest motivating factor
Money.
for all men is, okay, I'll give you money,
Yeah.
but what are we trying to get money for?
Everything
we
leads
want
back to
toys
that.
and
Yeah.
we want snapper.
Yeah.
And that's what the bread is for.
I'm with you.
My wife told me if I give her $10,000 a month, I can have girlfriends.
Right.
So,
There better be some prime girlfriends for that kind of money.
I mean, listen,
You're going to have to be looking at the girls in Savannah again.
$10,000 a month is $120,000 a year.
Roughly, yeah.
It's not an impossible task to make $300,000 a year.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
$240,000. If I made $240,000,
you got to double it up.
yeah, if I can make $240,000 a year, I'm going to be living a different lifestyle.
So then here's the question, just because we're in a ridiculous zone now.
Please do.
So for what your effort...
We've never been out of a ridiculous
It's
zone.
true. So for what the effort takes for you to earn what you earn today.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just do it a straight metric. You have to triple that effort to get to $300,000 a year.
I couldn't do it.
Okay. So that's what I'm going to get. Is tripling that effort worth what you're going to get in exchange for that?
Well, here's the problem. Is if I triple that effort, I no
You're
longer...
going to die.
I wouldn't have time to reap those benefits that I could sow. To triple the effort of work that I'm doing now, I would have to completely eliminate sleep from my schedule on a weekly basis.
Right.
I would probably get to sleep on Saturday and Sunday night.
Okay.
And the rest of the week, I'm working from midnight to midnight.
Frozen cappuccinos day over day.
That's it, dude. But, we're moving to the promised land, dude. We're moving to the gunshine state.
Sure.
I'm hoping
You're getting there.
I'm hoping that the next opportunity for success opens itself up in Florida, and there's a smorgasbord of young ladies from Latin American countries. So
There certainly are.
If I get to 300,000, me and my wife are going to have some serious talks about what our next moves are.
Does the number change when you leave New Jersey since the cost of living is cheaper in other places?
I doubt it.
You don't adjust cost of living?
I doubt it.
It goes down like 32% because you don't pay as much taxes and whatnot?
Right. But also as an alpha male, there's a thing that we're forgetting is that you shouldn't be playing with yourself.
Okay.
Now, here comes the problem with that.
Okay.
Then you turn into a guy like me,
Right.
who I'm getting all hot under the collar
Just 'cause
and
women
finding
walk by.
myself Googling and browsing through 1940s swimsuit photography.
Those are good pictures.
I'm telling you, bro.
I'm not mad at you for that.
It's like a tasteful if you don't watch porn
Right.
for months on end, you come to really appreciate pictures of your grandma in a swimsuit, in a two-piece.
You can get back to your JCPenney's catalog days.
When I was in kindergarten, I believe, 5, 6 years old, I used to snatch the Victoria's Secrets out of the mail before my mom could get them.
Sure.
At some point, my mom found
She caught on.
a stash of Victoria's Secrets hidden between my mattress and was mortified.
Right.
Brought that to the pediatrician because she didn't know.
Pediatrician. How old were you when this happened? 6?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was like 5 or 6. I mean, I continued to do it until about 13 when
But
the internet showed up.
You started at like 6?
Yeah.
All right, good for
I was
you.
Good
for you.
I wasn't.
Speaking of alpha males.
I wasn't jerking it. I just knew that I liked seeing these chicks in lingerie. It just made sense to me to keep looking at these Victoria's Secret magazines.
All right. I'm not knocking. It's a surprisingly young number.
It is. I was gonna say I'm a sexual predator. I think
Advanced for your age.
I'm a sexually charged creature.
Right.
I was. Now I'm just an old man.
Married. Yeah.
So she brings it to the pediatrician, Dr. Koltenbach,
Okay.
and Dr. Koltenbach's response was, "Good for him.
Good on him.
Kid knows what he likes." My mom was mortified. She didn't understand it, which seems to be a thread throughout my entire life.
Right.
My mom was mortified. She didn't understand it.
Well, I mean,
you can apply that pretty much from that incident at 5 or 6 up until
to
today.
I mean, in all fairness to her in this one, right? Like, if I found that in my son's room today,
Yeah, well,
I would be like, good on you.
Yeah, he's 12. It makes sense.
Right. If I found that in my son's room at 6, I don't know that I would be concerned, but like it would throw me off. Like, why?
It's odd.
Why
It's
do
very
you
young.
have not? I'm afraid that you have this, or we need to talk to somebody about this. But why do you think that you want to be like? I don't know that you can process. I need to be looking at this magazine when I'm 6.
I can definitely remember I was entertained in some form or fashion.
Right.
By the Vicky Secret magazine.
But you didn't know why. You
I
were
don't
compelled.
think. Yeah, I wasn't aware that I like the idea of having sex or something. That wasn't there.
No.
It was just like
this is attractive. It's not. It's just for some reason, like looking at the Transformers cartoon. Like I need to be looking at this for some reason, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I just keep looking at it, and they kept showing up in the mail, so I kept collecting them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Monthly.
Which is funny because I noticed little buddy who turned 1 a few weeks ago. He will.
Jesus, really?
Yeah. I'll be somewhere with him, and he stares at young, pretty girls. Like he's.
Well, yeah.
As a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Like he could care less about the rest of the. Like
No.
I'll tell like this, right?
He's looking for food.
I don't know, maybe, but we're at the laundromat because we got overflowed with laundry. We have a small washing machine. So sometimes when it backs up too much, we go to the laundromat, throw it in a big joint.
Yep.
So I go to the laundromat. Me and him walk in. He's got his trucks in his hand. I put him down and let him waddle around a little bit. And this a Mexican lady who was in her 30s, she was a solid 3.5, a 4 maybe.
All right.
She goes, "Is that your little boy?" I'm like, "Yeah, he just turned 1. Oh my God, that's so amazing. He's walking, and mine just turned 2 months. I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome, great." Buddy's walking around, he paid no mind to this lady, right?
Right.
We have to walk to the other side of the laundromat. I'm like, "Come on, buddy. Come with me, pal." And I grab him by his hand. Walking to that other side of the laundromat, there was like a teenage Spanish girl.
Right.
Right? She was a well put together young lady, right? Not anything like, a nice young lady who took care of herself.
Yeah.
I could understand why other 16-year-old boys would want to talk to this girl.
Sure.
So I grab Buddy by the hand. I'm like, come on, dude, we got to go over here. And I'm walking with him, and he sees her, and the whole way by, he's doing this.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, dude, at least say hi to the girl. You know what I mean, bro? Make her feel like a piece of meat, bro. Be
Not
respectful.
alpha to just
You know what I'm
stare at
saying?
her.
You know what I mean?
You gotta make your move.
But that's happened on like a couple occasions where I'm like, you're okay, buddy.
You're gross.
All right, dude, you're into the babes. Do your thing. First 5 minutes of the game and the final whistle blew. Payday, did you enjoy those Eagles? The Birds won, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
Started out like a house of fire, and then it
Like
got
a house of fire.
It got real disturbing for a while, and then they won the game.
Well, the last I saw, because I only walked by the TV a few times and my old man was watching it.
Right.
They were winning in the fourth.
I think they were winning the entire game. They never lost the lead, but they came out, score, and then got real quiet, which is what happened in the Super Bowl.
Well,
which
that's
is
very
really unnerving.
that's very Eagles to
Yeah,
do.
and then
You
it
know what I
stayed
mean?
real quiet for a whole long time,
Yeah.
and then at the end of the game they won.
Yeah. I saw a lot of Travis Kelce,
Oh, the Eagles is not Travis. Travis is on the Chiefs.
the other team.
Jason.
Jason, I saw a lot of Jason Kelce jerseys in the mall this weekend when I took Sadie to get her ears pierced.
So that's the thing that they were discussing, that his jersey is the most popular jersey in the league amongst females. The women love him.
Is he a hunk?
No. He especially even compared to his brother. His brother is like a 6'4" tight end,
Right.
cut and ripped up. He's a chunky lineman. But like he's got the beard, like I guess he's like the cuddly bear kind of guy.
Right.
And the women
Like cuddly bears.
they do.
All right. Politics.
Sure.
You know me, dude.
We're on the same page on all this.
All of it. You know me, dude. I'm heavy into politics.
Skating down the middle.
I've been thinking, though, I need to kind of pick a side lately.
Okay.
Like, I'm starting to get a little bit older, and I'm thinking that there are issues in the world that definitely touch my life in one way or the other.
Sure.
So, I'm going to try and vote this year.
Okay.
I think I could get my record cleared up and have
I was
the
gonna ask you this.
ability to vote in
Does
2024.
Florida allow that?
I think it's as long as I get expunged that I
Okay.
can vote. And I'll tell you right now that my vote is going to go to whichever candidate supports the two-stroke resurgence initiative. Dang,
Okay.
I didn't nail it. You know, if there's a kid, that's all it takes for a candidate to win my heart.
Yeah, I mean,
You support two-stroke because there's a lot of candidates who are trying to eliminate the two-stroke engine altogether.
right. You're a single issue voter. That's fine. There's
That's
a lot
it.
of them.
And I don't care. Listen, if old Sleepy Joe, if your Uncle Donnie, the orange guy, either of those guys, if they tell me that they're going to
I'm here for
support
the
two
two-stroke.
strokes coming back,
They got you.
they got my vote. I don't care what their other policies are. I think that the two-stroke engine is something that needs to be celebrated and,
Memorialized.
yeah, and kept alive.
So if there's a two-stroke initiative, right? What happens to the four-stroke boys? Do they still get to ride along? Like, is there a deviation between those that's strong enough to create separate sides?
I'm not solely a four-stroke man. I mean, a two-stroke man.
Okay.
You know, like I have a four-stroke bike,
Right.
and I think
But that was before you knew what you
that's
needed
true.
to
That's
know.
also true.
Yeah.
As had I knew going in reverse, I probably might not have the same. I wouldn't have the same bike.
Right.
But I think that I will always have at least one four-stroke, and then like as many two-strokes as I can get.
Okay.
Right? Because the four-stroke is a much better vehicle for the street.
Okay. Smoother.
I would love to have, like, there's these, in the 80s, they were making two-stroke street bikes.
Okay.
Now they're like collector's items. So I don't know that I'll ever own one. I sure would love to have a two-stroke street bike. Like, damn, I can't remember what any of them are. There's a couple of them. and they made them
Were they-
mostly overseas. So
were they the big, like the Hondas and the Yamahas of the world making
yeah,
them?
like
or-
Ninjas and
Okay.
shit like that. Yeah, but Yamaha made one. I'm sure Suzuki and Kawasaki probably had one. Kawasaki had one way back.
the H2 Mach 4?
Yeah, that's like, they called that the Widowmaker, I think. It was either the Widowmaker or the Water Buffalo. It had a wild nickname.
Okay.
But that was like the 70s. Late 80s, early 90s, they stopped making two-stroke street bikes, but those were the ones that I think were like the flyest. Like an 87 Yamaha, street bike that's a two-stroke would be super sick.
And they've just become like straight collector's items now to where like you couldn't find one.
I'm not going to find one for like less than 15,000 or something like that. You know what I mean? So it would be sick to have one day, but I don't know that will ever happen. However, my plan here, I would like to keep every bike that I ever buy.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to trade the Kawasaki, I don't want to have to trade the KLX in.
Right.
But that may happen. And if I trade in the KLX, it would be for another four-stroke of a better caliber.
Okay.
And get like a four-stroke 300 dual sport, but maybe the Husqvarna one or the KTM one that has a little more jazz to it. So I don't think that the four strokes need to be eliminated. We could keep four strokes.
Okay.
But they're trying to eliminate the
phase out
two
the
strokes.
twos.
And less manufacturers are making two strokes now.
Now-
You get the European brands, the KTM, the Husky, the Beta, all the Riehu, they're all making two strokes for enduro.
Right.
The Japanese manufacturers, the only one still making a two-stroke is Yamaha, and
Okay.
they're just making a 125 and a 250. So there's not a lot of research and development being put into two-stroke bikes, and I think that there should be.
Now, for what it seems to me is like over the history of the motorcycle, the Japanese were the leaders.
Yeah, at times,
the
for sure.
technological leaders for a while. So, what has incentivized them to move away from the two-stroke that we could put into your platform that would make them want to come back?
Well, here's what I think it is. So, and I think that it could possibly happen. I think and hope that the two-stroke is going to make a resurgence as long as we're not having extra regulations put on them.
Okay.
Because, so the hard enduro, which, if you're unfamiliar, hard enduro is a version of dirt bike racing where guys are racing up the sides of rocky mountains and they're riding their dirt bikes up streams and off of cliffs and like just the most ridiculous landscapes that you could pick to ride a dirt bike in.
Okay.
And they set up a course and race on it. Now, hard enduro had its popularity began in Europe. And there was European hard enduro leagues, I guess, for lack of a better term. And it was very popular. And so all those European manufacturers, the Austrians and the Italians and the Spanish and all those manufacturers were making bikes that were suited for hard enduro, which all the hard enduro guys like either 250 or 300 two-strokes. And motocross was not necessarily, as far as I can tell, is not necessarily as popular in Europe as hard enduro is. And in America, hard enduro is not as popular as motocross is. Motocross is kind of our lead sport.
Right.
But the U.S. is kind of, the hard enduro scene in the U.S. is really starting to grow a lot. There's a lot more races happening and a lot more, open enduros and stuff like that. So it's really growing a lot. These guys at this point really only have the choice to buy enduro two-strokes from European manufacturers. Now, if we don't wind up putting regulations on it, at some point the Japanese are going to look and say like, oh, there's this whole market of people who want to buy bikes, these two-stroke enduro bikes. why are we not catering to this corner of the market?
Picking
Which,
on it, yeah.
if it keeps growing, they're going to have no choice but to notice it and start, building bikes for that market.
So do you think they got away from it and then the market dried up, or do you think the market dried up and then they got away from it? Because I'm looking and I realize it's not the be all end all, but apparently the fastest two-stroke street ever was the Kawasaki KR1, which peaked out at 139.
Right.
139 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You buy today's Kawasaki Ninja and you can cap out at 240.
Yeah.
Like and I realize there's other technology that has grown in that period of time.
Right.
But you're doubling the speed by going to a four-stroke. Why would I want to go back to a two-stroke?
Well, the four
in that scenario.
So the four-stroke is you definitely it makes more power in a more predictable fashion.
Okay.
They're easier to ride. Not that a two-stroke is like a whole lot harder to ride.
Right.
They're a little bit different, and the four-stroke is a little bit easier and makes a little bit more power. So that's why I think everybody, bases their street bikes on a four-stroke platform.
Okay.
Because you get more power, and in street bikes, the idea is how much power can I handle, and how fast can I go.
Right.
The two-stroke has the benefit of feeling more. You can get more comfortable with engine maintenance and engine work with a two-stroke. It's a simpler engine.
Right.
It has it's a more tactile experience to ride a two-stroke. There's a lot more. There's just more feel to it. It's got more emotion in a two-stroke engine. It's more rowdy and more exciting. Even if you put a 125 two-stroke up against the 450 four-stroke, that 450 will blow it out of the water in pretty much every spec and testing aspect that you could put it. But that 125 is going to leave you with a bigger smile.
Okay.
And it's just it's hard to explain until you've really rode both of them. That's my thought.
Okay.
Some guys may prefer, and really,
I'm not questioning it at all.
Yeah,
I'm trying to understand how we lay out the platform so you can be our next president.
right. Well, we're really all doomed because the e-bike is going to take over at some point.
Right.
But I hope that it's after I'm gone.
Sure. Or at least after you're too old to ride a bike.
I hope I'm never too old.
Well, I mean,
I hope I'm riding till I'm dying.
At some point this year, you found out you can't even really run on the beach all that frequently, or your feet will fall apart. So the rest of you is going to catch up. I mean, you might be 90, but the rest of you is going to catch up.
Yeah, but I could ride street forever.
Sure.
That
But
ain't
you don't have
nothing.
to take the impact anymore.
Right. I might have to give up dirt
Right.
at some point. But if I give up dirt, I'm still going to be able to hop on a chopper, on a Goldwing, and
Right.
just, cruise the highways
Head
of
out
the
to North
west.
Dakota.
Yeah, exactly. So, support the two-stroke resurgence initiative.
Amen.
We'd appreciate if you vote the same way we do when it comes down to the two-stroke engine. I'll leave you with this. You were talking about, you keep browsing for weights.
Yes.
Barbells, dumbbells.
Dumbbells.
You're browsing for dumbbells.
The adjustable dumbbells.
Now you missed. I didn't know that you were browsing for dumbbells
Right. I didn't say nothing.
because I had a set that I was selling.
Okay.
We're heading south. We're flying. We're migrating south.
Right. So you got to lighten the load.
I don't know if I told you that or not.
You had mentioned, but yeah, I've heard.
So I'm trying to. It's a clearance sale over here at the Cove house.
Everything must go.
Everything. I'm getting rid of as much things as I can.
Even the chicory coffee.
You might have to keep that and immortalize it. I've gotten rid of some of the stuff up here.
Yeah, it does. The shelf looks light.
Yeah, I've kept the important things: the chicory coffee, the Monte Carlo.
Right.
Biggie. Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Body Modern Building. Body Modern Building. Body Modern Building. Modern bodybuilding.
That too.
What are you looking at?
The Sev 1 sticker, that's the Subway sticker that I don't think I've ever noticed that being there before. Has that always been there, or is it just there was like an album cover in front of it or something? Okay.
The records were cocked that way.
All right.
So I'm getting rid of these things, and I decide, you know what? I kind of don't want to get rid of the weights because I like having them there if I want them.
Right.
But I haven't used them in months. I'm going to the gym when I want to work out. You know, it's a lot of weight to carry. They're beat the hell up. It doesn't look classy having them in the backyard.
Right.
We got to sell the house. We got to class this joint up a little
shine
bit.
It up a little bit. Put some spit on it.
So I'm like, you know what? I paid $200 for them. I'm putting them up on Marketplace. 200 or best offer.
Okay.
So I do that. Have a guy hit me up. He says, how about $50? I said, nah, dude. I said, I'm looking to at least get closer to 150.
Right.
He was like, all right. So something happened, and I can't remember what it was, but I say to him, all right, I'll tell you what. If I don't have a different offer by Friday that's better than whatever he said,
right,
I'll talk to you Friday morning, and they're yours.
Okay.
He's like, all right, cool. Later that day, I had a couple of guys hit me up offering 100, 50, 75. Pretty much say the same thing to all of them. I'm looking to get a little bit higher. You know, I'll talk to you if nothing else. That afternoon, a guy hits me up. He's like, hey, are they the classic? Hey, are these still available?
Well, that's a...
Yeah, dick face.
Yeah.
Yeah, dick face. I'm like, yeah. I had a guy made an offer, and he'll pick them up Friday if nobody beats his offer.
Right.
But I strategically didn't tell him the offer.
Yeah. You got to overshoot the offer.
Right. So he responds back, "What's the offer?" And I was out.
Money.
I was out and about, so I just didn't respond to him. And I may have told him what the offer was, but I just was moving around. So I didn't respond to him quick enough. So his next text was, "Hey man, I'll come pick them up today and give you $450. And I'm like, okay, where's the scam at?
Right, there's something.
Where's the angle on this one?
Right.
I can't find an angle, but I know that
there's got to be
you're
one.
jumping $250 over what I'm even asking.
Right.
There's an angle.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll tell you what, bud. How about tomorrow morning I meet you at Wawa near my house.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
Right.
He's like, all right, great. I'll be there tomorrow morning, 7:30. Is 7:30 good? I'm like, yeah, I'll be up then.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're an early bird.
An hour later, people are still hitting me up. An hour later, guy hits me up, and I answer him, and he's like, hey, what's up? I can come get him right now if you want. And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, some jerk offered me you're not going to believe this. Some guy offered me $450. So unless you're going to beat that,
right.
LOL.
Right.
Then this guy's going to pick him up tomorrow.
See, that was a mistake you made there, but go ahead.
Yeah. You'll find out how much of a mistake it was soon. He's like, all right, I'll give you $460 and I'll come down there tonight. I'm like, I'm like, there's something that I'm missing here. So I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what, meet me at the Wawa near my house. He's like, great, I'll be there in an hour.
Okay.
All right, so then I go look. I'm like, what am I missing?
You got to go to their profile.
Well, I look to see what the price of weights is. It's $1 a pound.
Okay.
So I have about 450, 500 pounds worth of weight, give or take.
Okay.
But I also have a bench, and I have a rack for some dumbbells. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm just a little. It's probably really priced.
You're undercutting yourself.
Yeah, I probably really could have got 500. Should have priced him at 500 or best offer.
Right.
And then I would have either got 500 or I would have got these offers for 450.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. They're worth about 500. I'll take the 460 from this dude. Whatever, no big deal. So I meet him. He's a nice, clean cut guy. Comes in his little Toyota Tundra. We come back to the house, load him up. He gives me the cash. I say thanks. Take it easy. And he's off into the night with his new set of weights.
With your triple your asking price in your pocket.
Yeah. So I'm winning.
Yeah.
I go to work. I'm happy.
Sure.
Did
you forget to meet the other guy?
No, I hit him up and lied to him.
Right.
I said, hey, my brother said he wanted them.
Yeah.
I got to take care of my family first. Sorry, brother. My brother said he wants them and he'd pay whatever the top offer was. So I got to.
Right.
The guy was like, yeah, I get it. No problem. The next day at work, I get a message. on a different item that was for sale on my page.
Okay.
Right? And the guy's like, hey, it looks like you sold those weights, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, they're, some guy paid fucking $450 for them. He was like, well, I'm sorry I'm late. I just want to let you know, those are called York Deep Dish, and they're about $1,200. I'm like, whoa, I appreciate you coming in a day late and a pound short, dude, and a plate shy. Like, that's why these guys are jumping at him. He's like,
right.
Well, who's the guy who bought him? He's probably in my weight collectors Facebook page, my classic weights collectors page. I'm like, oh, it's so-and-so. He's like, oh, I'll check and see if he's on my page, right? Because now he wants to try and go get him from this guy, I guess. But I looked him up. I didn't find him for $1,200 anywhere. I saw him at like $350 or whatever. But apparently this collector guy says that they were worth $1,200. And I walked off with 30% of what their value is.
Well, my lightning fast search, which is what it is, puts them at about $2 a pound for the York deep dishes.
Yeah, but it wasn't a whole set of York deep dishes. I think I had...
No, I mean like...
Right,
so
right.
The 100-pound plate is $223.
Right, and I had some 45s.
Right.
So I had about $300 worth of 45-pound plates.
Yeah.
Not $1,200. Well, but he's saying they were worth $1,200.
Well,
maybe it's a certain kind of York deep dish. I don't know.
How much? So was that all your set was? Like
no. I had a full set of various weights.
Okay.
Right, but apparently these York deep dishes, the ones that I had were some special $1,200 ones.
So the whole set wasn't York, just certain. Oh, gotcha. All right.
So
now I understand.
Whatever. It was funny that, check out what you got before you sell it.
Yeah, do a little research. Or ask somebody you know to do it for you.
Yeah. Also, the final thing is we got to, here at the Gig Podcast, we support fugitives.
Of course.
We will root on any fugitive regardless of his crime. As a matter of fact, I'd prefer you not tell me about any particular fugitive's crime because I want to be rooting him on.
Yeah.
I don't want you to tell me that he's a sexual predator like I claim to be, and then I can't root him on anymore.
Right.
So we got a Brazilian on the loose who has broken free, first off, from Brazilian prison in the past. Did you hear that part of it?
No.
Yeah, he broke free out of a Brazilian prison, and Brazilian prisons are like...
It's got to be a little wilder than American prisons, right?
They're decapitating people and playing soccer with their heads, dude. I'm not exaggerating.
No,
that's a real thing going on in Brazilian prison.
I've seen it.
And survived in the Amazon for some stretch of time before he wound up here in America doing time in Chester County somewhere.
Yeah.
And has now escaped and is on the lam. They believed him to be in Longwood Gardens for some time.
That was a while, and then he found that.
They kept saying he's comfortable in this type of surrounding.
Yeah, all the foliage, because he's from the Brazilian rainforest.
He's a jungle monkey. It's like,
so he was in that area for a while, and then apparently came upon a unlocked work truck with the keys in it.
Yep.
And, took it for a ride.
Got his way out of there. My guess is he's trying to get to Florida.
You think so?
If he gets to Florida, his chance of getting on a fishing boat.
Right.
Now, because here's the thing, right? Immigrant communities are tight. Some of them. Maybe not all of them are, but I feel like...
They're very protective.
Particularly in Latin culture.
Yeah.
Latins from one country will be very tight and very helpful and protective, that's a good word, of their fellow countrymen.
Yeah.
Which is very respectable. You got to respect the Latin cultures for that. So I think if he can get himself to Florida, there's going to be a certain, percentage of Brazilians living in that part of the country.
Right.
And some of them are bound to be able to charter a fishing boat.
Sure.
So I'm thinking he finds a Brazilian with a boat, and that's how he's going to get himself back to the Amazon. Because what else can you do at this point? You got to get out of the country. That's your chance to get out of here.
So, as an escaped prisoner, right, I would think that your first inkling once you get free from the jail is, I got to get the hell out of here. Right?
Yeah.
No question. At what point does this drag on to the point where your mindset switches to, they're not going to find me anyway, I might as well hang out? You think it ever does? I mean, he left Brazil to come here and commit more crime and wind up in jail.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's going to go back to Brazil and rehab himself.
No, he might be a lifer. He might be part of the Red Guard or the Red Army or whatever their big gang is. They got like a mafia down there called the Red something or other.
Okay.
Or the PCC. That's like their Mexican mafia, basically. They're some super thugs down there in Brazil, the PCC and the Red Guard. But I don't think that he switches to relaxing. I think he just gets out of America.
Right.
Now, whether he, lands in Cuba and sets up shop in Havana now, that might be a good idea. Because Havana's not going to extradite you.
I don't believe so, no.
I think Cuba's going to take pride in harboring an American fugitive. They're going to be like, nah, you know what I mean? Think of Afeni Shakur.
Sure.
They've held on to her and didn't let us come get her, which I don't know if I don't know the story, so I don't know if we should have came and got her.
Right.
But, I'm sure they would take some pride in taunting the government with a escaped prisoner.
Right.
So he needs to get to Cuba. He needs to get maybe to Venezuela. And hopefully he's smart enough to realize he needs to get himself to a country that is not on friendly terms with the U.S.
Well, that's the first thing. And then the second thing you would think arguably is if he is gang affiliated, he needs to get somewhere where he's going to be safe from whomever the rival gangs are. Because if there's somebody who hates him, he's made himself an easy target for them as well.
Right. I mean, if he's gang affiliated to a serious extent, he may be able to go to Venezuela and set up a criminal enterprise there.
Sure.
And then he can avoid capture from the U.S. government and survive off some money.
Right.
I'm saying run, buddy, run.
Yeah.
Keep going. Get yourself on a fishing charter down there near the Caribbean, and I would go to Cuba, Habana, or maybe even maybe I go to the countryside of Cuba. It's not gonna be a luxurious life.
No, but it's going to be a free life.
It's going to be a free life. You're going to be able to go, farm tobacco or do whatever the thing is that you could figure out how to do over there.
Sure.
Have yourself a little girlfriend, have a little family. Maybe it's time to settle down and relax and give up the crime. Maybe it's time for him to reform his life.
He's really good at it, though.
He's good at escape.
He commits his crimes, he gets in trouble, he walks away. There's no incentive to stop committing crimes under that circumstance.
He's good at escape.
He sure is.
He's done it twice now, and he seems to be making it.
And he's pretty flagrant about it, too. Like, he's on Ring doorbells. He's visiting old friends and things like that. Like, he's not really trying to be stealthy with this escape.
Right.
He's just going on his path.
I mean, he probably kind of just found himself out there, like, he climbed up the wall and was like, all right, I don't know what to do now, but here I go.
So apparently from this prison, somebody did this same exact escape route like 4 months ago.
Nice.
So I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
I
think there was a part of it's like, there's no way this is going to work a second time. And then he went and did it, and he was like, shit.
Yeah, no, you get out of prison and you go, all right, what do I do now?
I've only seen this on TV.
Yeah, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do now.
It's the new season of Big Brother.
Run, Forrest, run. So, as you guys know, I would say that we're here every Monday night.
Not no mo.
But that is not always true. As far as I'm concerned, we'll be here next Monday.
Okay.
We're setting some things up to see what we can do once we fly south and keep the gig going.
I think it's very feasible.
Keep the dream alive.
I think as long as I can make it easy enough for you, the rest of it's pretty feasible.
Well, I got Mikey Meeks down there who can push the buttons if I need him to.
Oh, there you go.
He's not too far away, and he's already agreed to being a button pusher if I need one. And yes, this is great music payday, as Victor would say, has said. Gentlemen, we appreciate you coming through to the gig. If you're not doing anything next Monday, swing on by.
Stop through.
Knock on the door. Say hello. Maybe bring a bottle of wine.
That sounds nice.
A baker's dozen of some cannolis. Maybe a charcuterie plate.
I'm listening.
Come on, sit down. We'll make you a cup of Sanka. How do you take yours? Black? 2 sugars? No problem. We've got some Ennemans in the closet. Hun, get the Ennemans for him. Pull out the... Yeah, no, the cheese Danish. Yep, come on.
Hey.